Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a fascinating framework that makes a really bold, honestly pretty captivating claim. A focused, 6-month timeline is literally all it takes to completely transform your life. Now, I absolutely love exploring concepts like this because, well, they take these massive, completely overwhelming life goals and compress them down into a highly structured, manageable window. We're going to break down the exact mechanics of how this transformation actually happens. We'll explore the myths that hold people back, the mathematical power of daily action, and the, spoiler alert, very unglamorous reality of what real success actually looks like. So if you're ready to see how a completely different life might just be a few calendar pages away, let's jump right in.
6. Not 5 years, not a decade, not a lifetime of endless striving, just 6 months. You know, most of us completely overestimate what we can do in a single day, but we vastly underestimate what we can accomplish in a half year of relentless focus. 6 months is roughly 180 days. It's a surprisingly short amount of time, yet mathematically it's long enough to completely rewire your neural pathways, build entirely new physical routines, or even learn a high-income skill from scratch. It's kind of the perfect sweet spot between immediate action and a long-term vision.
So I want you to genuinely consider this for a second. Where were you exactly 6 months ago? Think about who you were. You probably had different problems stressing you out, right? Maybe different daily habits, and maybe even old fears that you've since realized weren't really that big of a deal. The person you were half a year ago is just not the person you are today. And since you've naturally changed over the last 6 months without even trying that hard, just imagine the stronger, smarter, more successful person you could deliberately become in the next 6 months if you applied intense focus. We're always evolving. The framework we are exploring today is really simply about grabbing the steering wheel of that evolution.
Section 1. The overnight success myth.
We are totally conditioned by society to just look at the highlight reel, the lucky breaks, the viral moments, the sudden opportunities, and those final, perfectly polished results. We just assume success happens in a flash. But success is actually built quietly. It's the quiet mornings before the sun even comes up. It's the unnoticed sacrifices, like staying into work while your friends go out. It's the months of entirely unapplauded preparation. Observers only ever notice the flashy results. They completely miss the invisible foundation that actually makes those results possible. If you're waiting for a viral moment, you're basically waiting for a winning lottery ticket.
Section 2. The compound effect and daily action. 1%. Just imagine improving by just 1% every single day. Now, improving by 1% sounds incredibly small, right? In fact, it sounds almost completely insignificant. If you do a 1% better workout today than you did yesterday, you are definitely not going to notice it in the mirror. But mathematically, the compound effect creates extraordinary results. It's exactly like compound interest in a bank account. Your daily habits just stack on top of each other. The improvements don't just add up, they multiply. So the absolute crucial point here is that you don't need to completely overhaul your life in 24 hours. You just need to find that tiny 1% edge today and then wake up and do it again tomorrow.
So what does that 1% actually look like in the real world? Well, it's every single workout, every book read, every new skill acquired, every hour of focused, distraction-free work. Doing one single workout will absolutely not change your body. Reading one page of a book isn't going to change your life. But doing those things for 180 days, for 6 straight months, that absolutely will. It's the accumulation of these seemingly mundane actions that constructs the completely different life we've been talking about. It's not about the intensity of the single action, it is entirely about the consistency of the repetition.
And that brings us to a really powerful thought experiment. What would your future self say to you? Seriously, imagine meeting the version of yourself that exists exactly 6 months from today. Would that person look at you and say thank you for the discipline you showed? Or would they be disappointed by the excuses you kept making? Every single decision you make today, whether it's hitting the snooze button or getting out of bed, is actively writing the story of that future version of yourself. You are constructing them right now, piece by piece.
Section 3. Stop waiting for perfect.
Oh man, how many times have you caught yourself waiting for one of these traps? Waiting for more money to finally start the business, waiting for some sudden burst of motivation just to go to the gym, waiting to feel confident before speaking up, waiting for that elusive right moment when the stars miraculously align. Well, the harsh truth is, the right moment never actually arrives. Successful people, the ones who truly transform their lives in 6 months, they do not wait for perfect conditions. They start way before they are ready. They take action while they are still scared, and they move forward while they are entirely uncertain of the actual outcome.
Listen to this. Progress creates confidence, not the other way around. I really want you to let that sink in for a second. We usually think we need to feel confident before we can take action, right? But the reality is completely flipped.
You take the action first, clumsily, fearfully, totally imperfectly, and the progress you make from that action is what actually generates the confidence. Confidence is the reward for taking action. It's not the prerequisite. If you wait to feel ready, well, you're going to be waiting for the rest of your life.
Section 4, the boring reality of success.
Success is repetition. It's consistency. Honestly, it's incredibly boring. It is showing up when you genuinely do not feel like it, and doing the work when absolutely nobody is watching to praise you. Real success is not some continuous, glamorous thrill ride. Most days, it's just doing the exact same fundamental tasks over and over again. The people who completely change their lives in 6 months aren't necessarily the smartest, and they aren't always the most talented people in the room. They are simply the people who refuse to quit the unglamorous daily grind. They literally fall in love with the boredom of execution.
Section 5. Your choice starts today.
So you are currently facing two diverging paths. Choice 1 is basically the default path. Do what you've always done. You can choose to stay comfortable, remain endlessly distracted by your phone, and just settle for an average existence. And if you pick this path, it's almost guaranteed that 6 months from now, absolutely nothing changes. But choice 2 is to start today. This requires you to take immediate action, build ironclad discipline, and actively pursue transformation. If you choose this path, in 6 months, you literally won't recognize yourself. You'll be healthier, more focused, and wildly more successful. But you have to pick a path.
Because in 6 months, you can either have a long list of excuses or a solid stack of results. You can carry the heavy weight of regret, or you can look back on incredible growth. You can still be paralyzed by fear, or you can be operating with newly minted confidence. The inescapable truth here is that the calendar doesn't care about your feelings. 6 months is going to pass anyway. The time will vanish whether you use it to build something incredible or just waste it staying comfortable.
So I leave you with this final question. Will you move with time or stay exactly where you are? This is the ultimate takeaway from today's explainer. The transformation of a completely different life is entirely possible, and as we've seen, it's mathematically achievable through the compound effect. But the choice to begin must happen right now. Not tomorrow, not next Monday, but today. Stop waiting for the perfect conditions, embrace the boring reality of the daily work, and let progress build your confidence. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I challenge you to make sure your next 6 months start today.